Welcome back to the Reclaim Podcast. I'm Connie Stowers, the Realist Skater.
And I'm Melissa Harrison, Fierce Feminine.
And this is a reminder that nobody is coming to save you. Remember to like and subscribe because that's how we get to keep doing this. Ooh, what are we talking about today, Melissa?
We're talking about the hot topic.
Hot
toxic
topic.
relationships.
Toxic relationships. Don't you know that you're toxic?
It was such a fun song. Like, it sort of set me up for thinking that would be...
Baby, can't you see? I'm toxic. This was something I think that you have done a lot of work around, right? You're in a healthy relationship now.
I am.
Soft launch. What is the difference between this one and the others? What makes it healthy?
I think the baseline is complete respect for each other. The communication is completely open and honest. There is nothing we can't share with each other. I feel completely safe to be who I am at my core, and I know that I'm loved and supported and accepted. I also know that if I'm fucking up, I'm going to be challenged on it, but not in a you're so stupid, what a horrible thing you're doing, gaslighty kind of way. More of a, hey, come on, that's not who you are. Let's see how we can move past this together.
Mutual respect. Yeah. It's an important one.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I would say that throughout my healing journey, the one thing that I still continuously fuck up on is my choice in men. To the point where I sometimes have to have that like come into Jesus conversation with myself, like, what are you doing? Why? What? Why? What are we doing?
And what have you found? No, because I have done like well over a decade of work on this topic professionally and helping women. So I'm very curious. No, I'm not going to shrink you. I'm just curious.
Oh, you can shrink me all day. Shrink me, baby. I have found that there are certain men that activate, I think, whether it's that inner child or like inner teenager who just desperately wanted to be loved, that any amount of attention is good attention. And
Yes.
That is not the case. That might be the case like in marketing, that any attention is good attention, but it's not the case in dating. I have found that men's potential is as attractive as where they are. Like, it's more attractive for me when I'm like, oh, you have all of these skills and you could do this and you could do that. And, oh, you said you were going to do X, Y, and Z. So that's what I'm going to go with versus understanding where they are right now in their life and in their journey.
Yes.
Like, we cannot date potential.
No, because oftentimes we're the only ones who see it.
Yeah. And then, like, you see it and then there's this frustration of, well, why aren't you doing all the things that in my brain I told myself you were going to do to be a good partner for me?
And at that point, right? And I've been there so many times. And you can like have this link to, I don't want to say connection because I think true connection is rare, but some sort of attraction, attachment, link to someone. And it can mimic love. Sometimes it is love, but there's so much more. And 10 years ago, Melissa would be like canceling me to think that love isn't enough, but it just isn't.
No, there was actually a song from One Tree Hill back in the day that the lyrics were, I guess sometimes love is not enough. And I remember listening to that on repeat. Every relationship I have had, except for my 8th grade boyfriend, he knows who he is. If he's watching this, I doubt he is. Other people be like, I remember who that was. My 8th grade boyfriend was literally the last healthy relationship I think I had.
Tell me what made it feel healthy to you.
Well, probably because I was so young and naive. But no, he was made me feel safe.
Safe.
He was very kind. He was very sweet.
Yeah.
I do think he listened to a lot of the things my 8th grade self had to say. And he was very patient with me because he was my first kiss, right? So he was my
Patient.
first kiss, and there wasn't a lot of pressure to go further than that. And I think that all felt really good. I can't even remember why we broke up. I probably because
You're like,
we were
hey,
so young.
can you call me?
I was married with lots of kids.
Oh,
No,
okay. Let's not do that.
no, he's very, very nice, very kind man. But I think about what transpired in my life after that. 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade is when some things in my family life got really crazy and really hectic.
Yeah.
My mom's illness really took over. And the rest of my relationships, I think, became something to escape into. I have dated a lot of men with a lot of substance abuse issues.
Yeah.
I've dated a lot of men that have, whether it be issues with their mom or their dad or both, but have never gone to therapy for it, to talk it out.
Same, sister.
And they are this beautiful ball of potential that I can save. And then even like most recently, someone who I was talking with, I had absolutely no interest in this person. None. Not even a drop of, I like you like that. And then he told me, do not like me because I will hurt you if you do. And immediately I was like, God, he's kind of sexy.
Oh my God.
I think I should have a crush on him. And
Why do we do this? It's
sick.
I know why, but it's like, even when you know why, what are you doing, right?
It's absolutely sick. And then let's take this one step further, right? Boy says, don't like me, I'll hurt you. I think I like you. Boy says, okay, I like you too, but I don't want any kind of relationship. It's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for anything committed. I'm not looking to have any kind of relationship. Brain says, but he took you on a date and he paid for everything and he was super sweet. And then he held your hand and you kissed.
Yep.
So he's lying to himself because he's unhealed and he doesn't understand. He's really going to fall in love.
Oh, yes.
And then when it
Yes.
all falls apart, I'm sitting here initially shocked. Like, I can't believe that didn't work out. And it's like, bitch, really? You can't believe it didn't work out, huh?
Well, that's what, I love that you said that. Like, he planned the date, paid for the date. Like, he did all of the things, right? We see all over social media, oh, he didn't pay for the date, red flag. He didn't, red flag. Those aren't yes, if those are non-negotiables for you, okay, fine. But that's not the real red flag, because they can do all of those things and be avoidant and be unhealthy, not focusing on their healing. They can make it look so good.
So good. I think my most toxic trait, and I think there's a lot of women who are on this this train with me. I hear what you say, but I ignore it if it doesn't fit the narrative that I want it to fit.
That's right.
And so if you tell me that you are unhealed and not ready for a relationship and you are going to hurt me, I hear he just needs saving. He just needs someone to come swoop him up and show him how good it is to be loved.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so luckily I am at a place now where I think it's more of like a dopamine hit. Like, oh, I'm getting attention from someone who said they weren't going to give me attention, and like it just feeds something in me. But I'm getting a lot better at being like, okay, halt, stop. All right, we went too far with this. Time to pull it back. Time to reevaluate. What the heck are we doing here? Why are we doing this?
I stopped trying to save men when I put the focus on saving myself. We talk about the need to reclaim, nobody's coming to save you, but truly, and this is not, just cliche, that it wasn't until I fully repaired the relationship with me and started being really healthy, like in every moment, like with stuff that I didn't even realize I was being so poisonous to myself with. Like I had to talk about come to Jesus, and all the things you're talking about, like really just paying close attention to where you're being poison to yourself.
Have you set any non-negotiables with yourself as to a partner before you met your current partner? Like, did you have specific non-negotiables about who they are as a person that for you were like line in the cement?
I love that you...
I got you.
Well, it's important because you can like dust away a line in the sand. It needs to be in cement and hardened.
Hold on, that line in the sand was a little too far away. We didn't bring up all that.
That's such a great question. I think the other non-negotiable for me is that I found being in a relationship where the man does lead, but it's a healthy masculine leadership. It's not controlling. It's service. It's in service of. And that allows me to bloom. Like I feel safe, secure, and calm so that I can tap into who I'm supposed to be. And there's not this frenzied, me and my masculine energy is complete frenzy. It is urgent. It is hurry up. And honestly, it got nothing done by comparison to what I'm able to accomplish in the world. And I say accomplish not in the masculine sense of productivity or the material world. I mean in what I can give to others.
Will we ever find an episode where I don't tear up at something? I don't know.
What made you cry?
I have lived in my masculine for so long.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
And I think for a long time, I thought that in order to reclaim myself and in order to be this strong, independent woman, I had to exude all of this masculine energy to run a business and to run a household, because I do that now.
Yes.
To do all the things that are required of me. Masculine, masculine, masculine. Be strong. Be fearless. Don't let up. Be at the gym at 5 a.m. and then go cold plunge. You know? And there is such a big part of me that is tapping into that softer feminine side.
Keep going. I want you to know I used to be at the gym at 3 a.m. I own my house too. I have everything you're doing. I did it. And I want you to know that it wasn't that I found, in all transparency, I met this man 8 years ago when I was hard in my masculine, and I could not receive him because I was like, I stuck it. And he, like, we're just meant to be like, so he didn't go away. Like, he waited for me to be able to soften. But it wasn't until, it had nothing to do with him, me finding this feminine flow. I finally, like a couple of years ago, just said, okay, I can't keep going this way. I keep hitting burnout and pushing through the burnout because I can't stop. I have to be in my masculine and keep going.
Yeah.
And I finally hit this one burnout, if you will. And you know, losing my house isn't an option, not running my business, like none of that. Like it's not that I'm ever going to let go of that, but I finally went, something's got to change. What is it? And I just started taking little baby steps into the feminine, what felt safe enough to release. I started taking courses, working with coaches about how to ease into it. So just keep going. It's the way.
Yeah, and I think that it's also a slippery slope because I've found myself maybe getting involved with certain men who have some toxic behavior, but they bring out the feminine in me. They are a more...
Yes.
They've got this strong masculine presence, and they are allowing me the space to be feminine, which is why I think the non-negotiables have become important for me to think through.
Yeah.
I officially got off the dating sites about a month ago. I deleted the apps off my phone.
Okay.
And then a couple of days ago, and I even screen recorded this whole thing because I was like, let me just see how this goes. I re-downloaded Tinder. Screen recorder's on. I re-downloaded Tinder because I kept getting emails that people, oh, you're missing out. You're missing out. People are emailing you. You're missing out. And I was like, okay, fine. What am I missing out on? Re-download it, go into the messages, and it's like the same three dudes who like a month and a half ago were talking to me that are like just not in alignment with who I am or what I want.
Right. It's always the same guys, too.
Always the same guys. And I was like, okay, we're going to officially delete the app. We're not like just deleting the app. We're deleting the profile. And so I deleted the profiles because something that a friend said to me recently made so much sense. And she said, how dare a man think that he can swipe on you to gain access to you?
Whew.
Okay. Okay. And I took that to heart because I think there is this sense of I've done so much work to be a better version of me that sometimes when you look at the people who are like, you'll say, oh, you have 50 matches and you go through 49 of them and you're like, you really thought you had a chance. And I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm not. I'm just saying, like, if your profile's like, I don't have a job and I don't have any goals and I have no career and I've got no, I don't know, just like, look at what I'm doing here. So I am trying to put myself in the places that I want to be and surround myself with the type of people that like I would want to be in a relationship with.
Yes.
Versus just giving everyone access to me. And one of my non-negotiables, I don't want anyone to come for me for this, but you might. But I do think that in order for me to be in a healthy relationship with someone, they have to either actively be in therapy or have been in therapy.
Yeah.
It's such a huge part of who I am and what I do. And I think being able to speak about our experiences and connect the dots for how sometimes we act a certain way. And it's just,
got to find the patterns.
This is because of X, Y, and Z. I think without that connection, I feel like I'm not going to be able to connect with somebody in a deeper level because I'm going to go with, oh, the way you acted yesterday. Why do you think that was? Right? Like, because I've got a couple ideas as to why it was, but why do you think it was?
And nobody better come for you about that because every single one of us has to be in tune with what we know we need in a partner. And there's nothing wrong with that. You're not saying that a man who isn't in therapy is bad. He's just not the one for you at this point in your life.
Well, yeah. And I think that we are in this place of, I think a lot of men are recognizing it, whether they're making moves towards changing it is another thing. But I think we've recognized that men have been told to like sit down and shut up in a different way than women have been, right? Like, do not talk about your feelings.
For sure.
Do not let your and this was a conversation I had with a guy recently. I think he got a little angry with me because he said, I don't have feelings. Like, I have no feelings. I'm shut off. I don't have feelings. And I said, yes, you do. Anger's a feeling.
Yeah.
And you're angry a lot. Anger is a feeling. Like the shock. Like, what are you talking about? Like, no, that's a feeling
that
too.
Made me like contract. Like, that's so scary to hear someone say. I would have been like, bye. You don't have feelings, fucking liar. You're going to explode in 2 seconds and I am not going to.
You have feelings.
Whew.
So, I think it's the thought process that like men have not been given a platform to speak openly about their feelings and their emotions. And when they are given the opportunity to do so, I think it connects a lot of dots for them and maybe some things will make more sense for them. But it's when it is someone who I'm considering like starting a relationship with or a life with, that's become a really important piece for me because I need to feel safe with you and I need to feel emotionally safe with you. And I can't do that if you don't know how to handle your own emotions.
That's right.
Because I have to be able to handle mine. Not saying you should have to handle mine and I should have to handle yours, but there's a mutual support, but you really do need to know how to do it yourself.
One of the reasons that I feel so safe where I currently am is because whether we want to give astrology any weight, Cancer, Sun, Scorpio, Moon here, I'm all the water. Whether that means I'm just emotional, I am. It's part of, my own coach will say, Melissa, you're just wired how you are. Mm. There's some things that you can't escape. They just are who you are. And one of the reasons I feel so safe in my relationship is because he's done that work. Mm. He knows who he is, and he is very aware of his emotions and how to keep them in check. So it's like this container for me when I need to be wild. I'm not wild at him. I don't spew my emotions at him, but I can be emotional, and he holds a space for me to be able to feel that. And you're spot on that if men haven't done the work, they can't hold the space for the feminine.
People ask me all the time, like, was there a moment that you knew your marriage was like not going to work? And I think there were a few major moments.
Yeah,
Some of them I'm just not ever going to say in public.
of course.
But there was one where I was like, I was feeling good. I was like, I'm going to say I was totally sober when I said this. I was feeling pretty good when I said this. But I said something about, I was like, I feel like I am this butterfly that hasn't come out of her cocoon yet. I said, I feel like I am on this journey of processing everything I've been through, and I'm going to come out the other end. And like, you know, my brain is going to do the healing, and I'm going to be who I'm meant to be. And I looked at him and I said, you know, what do you think? Like, what are your dreams? Like, what are you manifesting? Like, if you could, what are you grateful for? What are your affirmations? What are you manifesting? Like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, just waiting for his answer. And he said, honey, you've got your manifesting stuff and I've got football. Why don't we just stick to what we're into? I was like, wow, we're on two different paths here. This is scary. And it's such a minor example, but it was a moment where I realized that like our mindsets were really different. Yeah. And I think mindset's so important.
Yes.
And now, you know, when I think about what does my future partner look like, it's probably not somebody who wants to sit and watch football all day on a Sunday, right? Like that. A lot of men love to do that, by all means. And there are a lot of women that I know that love to do that too. But it's not me. Like, that's not how I'm going to spend my Sunday.
Right.
So if I want a partner who is going to be engaged with me and want to do the things I want to do, well, if there's someone who like, I play fantasy football, it's my life. Every Sunday from August to February, I will be at the house on the couch, keeping track of the score of 7 games in a row.
Right.
Unless I am like madly in love with you for every other reason in the world, and that's just the one thing you need. Okay. Yeah. But
right.
It's probably a different lifestyle. And I think like I'm starting to get better at understanding 7 billion people in the world. Not everybody is going to be a match, and that's okay. Even if you like them and they like you, it's still okay for that not to work.
For the longest time, The Notebook was my favorite movie. I grew up in love with love, hopeless freaking romantic, and I just thought love can conquer all. It can, like, you can have that beautiful story, fairy tale.
It's not over. It's still not over.
And what I've finally let myself realize, and at first it felt heartbreaking to me, was that I don't think there are soulmates. Like, I don't think we have one soulmate. I do think that there are people we're meant to be with in the sense that you have an insanely powerful connection that's based on what each of you actually needs from life, right? But I think you can find a fair number of people out of the 7 billion that you could get along with. But to me, that's just settling, right?
Yeah, and I think it's interesting when we think about, like, geographically where we are, right? Like, we usually end up dating someone who lives close to us.
Yeah.
But then I always think, like, well, what about the person who's, like, halfway across the world, but they share all of my interests and they would be my perfect partner? Like, maybe that's your soulmate, right? But how do you find them? Well, who knows?
Right.
I had shared a video with you, I think, a couple of weeks ago, and it really hit me because it was this guy, and he was talking about, like, there's 4 stages of dating, and we get stuck in phase 2, right? And I think, like, so, like, phase 1 is, like, you meet someone. Phase 2 is I like you and you like me. And that's where we start to think about all the what ifs. the potential.
Yeah.
This person, and because you like me and because I like you, we're supposed to be together. We're supposed to make this work. We have
Right.
to make this work. How could we not make this work?
Well, because then there's the fear of being alone or of a more toxic situation that could potentially be.
I have to go with this one because this isn't as bad as the last one, so it's got to be better. And we really shouldn't be making decisions about who we want to be with until we get to the third phase, which is really understanding, like, how is this person fit into my life? How do they fit into my values?
Yes.
What do we have in common? And I think that I'm somebody who feels poorly, or if I feel bad if, just give an example. I have my own home. I have a career. I have a child. I'm working on my inner self to be a healthy and loving person. And I've got goals and dreams. I meet someone who's insanely attractive, body rocking, bearded, and tattooed. They don't have their own place. They don't have any children, so they're not really sure what that looks like.
Yeah.
They're not in therapy. They don't believe in therapy. They maybe have a job that they absolutely hate that they show up to, but they constantly talk about how much they hate it, but they don't have any plans on doing anything differently about it. Our lifestyles, clearly, right? The chips are stacked differently in those two scenarios.
Yes.
But I get this sense of, well, who am I to think that I'm better than this person, just because I'm in this different place? I'm such a bitch if I don't give them an opportunity because.
And there's that societal conditioning that.
Yeah,
ugh.
I don't want to be this person who acts or feels like I'm better than anybody. And I've had to talk myself through that. Like, you're not saying you're better than anybody.
No.
That's not it. You're just looking for a partner who emulates the same values and goals that you have.
Right.
And I met, I don't know, I'm in this phase of like, what's your name? Who's your daddy? Because you're so young that I could literally date your dad, but you're cute too. And I met someone recently who was in their 20s, and we were chit-chatting. And he was sharing with me how he wants to get married and have kids and like start a life and all this stuff. But when we were talking about like what his lifestyle looks like it's very much that of a normal like late 20-year-olds, like out
Right.
partying, having a good time, living
Yeah.
the best life ever. And I just shared with them, like, if you want to attract the kind of life partner that it seems like you want to attract, you have to already be living the kind of life that's going to attract that person. So I'm almost on this opposite end where I am living the life that I want to attract a certain kind of person, but I'm still attracting all these other people that are not in line with what I maybe want in my life, but they're
You have
sexy.
to start with that. Oh, well.
They're sexy, and it's bad.
I mean, sexy will do it.
Sexy will do it. Oh, you cute. You toxic, but you cute.
If there is such a thing as soulmates, I think they're built. I think you definitely have your person. But I don't think there's this like idea like, oh, a soulmate, like you come together and it's all just magical and it all just integrates and falls together and like there's no work. Like that's kind of the idea of soulmate in our culture, right? But that's just such bullshit. There can be your person, but that's the starting line. You have all the values, you have all the non-negotiables are met. That's just the start. That's not the finish. And it sounds to me like that's almost like that we stay stuck in phase 2 instead of phase 3, like what you were.
Oh yeah. Phase 2. I get stalled out in phase 2. I'm like, you like me and I like you, and that's all she wrote. And that's all that matters in this one scenario. Your life goals, your income, your future savings. Can you support me? Can you be supportive? All of that stuff goes out the window because you like me and I like you. And I'm learning through the hard lessons that is not the way to go about it.
I do think finding your person is rare, but only because everyone keeps settling. I think if you stop settling, it becomes far less rare to find your person.
Yeah. And I mean, my therapist and I go deep into this. I think if I'm going to be like totally vulnerable here, I can say out loud that there's a person for me, and it's hard for me to say because I think that there's a part of me that doesn't believe it. Like there's like that inner part that's like really, she's still healing that like self-worth, inner worth. Am I worthy of a great love? Am I worthy of being loved by somebody who is living their best life and doing all these wonderful things? I still haven't gotten to that part yet where like I feel totally worthy of it. And so that just always in the back of my mind tells me then you're not ready for it. And that's why it's not here, because until you understand at the core, because here I get it, but here I do not. And so until this catches up with this, like we're probably just not ready. And that's why we still invite toxic scenarios into our world, right? Like spice it up a little bit.
Yes.
Just put a little pepper on it.
But every time you say, no, we talked earlier about saying yes to things. Yeah. But every time you say no to something that you know is settling, that you know is not in line with who you are now and who you're becoming, it continues to open those pathways where you will find your person. You will.
And then if I don't, then maybe I'm my person.
And that's the key. That's it right there. You just surrendered it.
I know. And that's the thing that I tell myself all the time. It's like, you know, sometimes I'll look around and I'll say to myself, what if this was it? Like, what if this was it for the rest of your life? What if you just had fierce female friendships and your daughter and your career? You know, is that the worst thing that could happen to you? You know, and I think everybody wants connection. I think all of us want love. And so that I think is more of like a protective shield over myself to say, it's okay if it never happens. I'm fine because I'm great and I'm awesome and I'll live with myself.
Well, I think when you can sit with the pain of realizing that it may never happen and let the pain be okay, that's the truth. It's not the false mask armor, I'll be fine. It's this fucking sucks and I'll still be fine.
Yeah, and I've been sitting in that. Like I said, I've gotten rid of the dating apps, right? So the swipe is now out of the equation.
Yeah.
And
you're making such healthy decisions.
I know. So boring.
It sucks, man.
When you start making healthy choices,
there's something to be said for how boring it is.
It is, and in the boring comes the uncomfortable, right? Like the urge to pick up Snapchat, take a sexy selfie, send it to the guy I know will be there in 10 minutes. Like that urge is strong, but that urge just stays in the urge category and we don't bring it to life because constantly filling the empty space doesn't give us any opportunity to sit in it, feel it, understand it.
The empty space is magic. It really is.
It is, and I don't
scary at first.
I don't leave myself much empty space.
Yeah, I think most of us don't.
Yeah, in fact, I promised my therapist I would leave myself more empty space, and then I booked a trip to Germany like 3 days after that conversation, and I walked in.
So that's how that happened.
I was like, I know I promised you I would spend more time alone, and I promise I will after Germany. And I did stick to that promise because since then I have spent a lot more time just, you know, being okay with it, being okay with being alone. And sometimes like those comments in my videos from the angry men across the world who have been harmed and wronged and have decided to take it out on me.
Yeah.
On my comment section.
They are not in therapy.
They are not in therapy. You know, but a lot of them will say, you left your marriage and now you're going to be alone forever. How does that feel, right? Like you're going to be alone forever. No one's ever going to love you. You're used up, you're used goods.
So hurtful.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
then-
they're being hurtful. Like,
Yeah. At first it really did I was like, and I think that's where the insecurity comes from of like, what if they're right? What if I am alone forever? And then it's like, okay, what if you are?
yeah.
But you're not alone. Number one, you have yourself. Number two, you have your daughter. Number three, you have friends and people who love and support you. You're not alone. You don't have a romantic relationship right now, but I've spent my life thinking that a romantic relationship was the ultimate goal when really I'm my best love story. No better love story than the one I'm writing for myself right now.
Amen.
And how much love have I shown this woman here, sitting here today, right? So much love that in order to let anybody else come into this scenario, they have to show her just as much love and courtesy and respect as I've shown myself the past year.
And that's how you stay out of toxic relationships.
Stay away from the toxic. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us today. And we've got one more episode to go until the conclusion of Reclaim Nobody is Coming to Save You, Season 1. So stay in tune for next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.